Hello and welcome back once again to After the Credits. So today we're talking about Beauty and the Beast, the live-action remake of the classic Disney animated film. So what do I think of Beauty and the Beast? Well, if you've seen the animated one, you've kind of seen the live-action one. There's not really all that much difference. They kind of hit everything cue for cue. The only thing I will give it is they do go a little bit more into Belle and the Beast's backstory. They go a little bit more in depth about who the Beast was before he got cursed, why he was kind of a insufferable shit, and what happened to his parents. And they even kind of wrap up like why no one in the village knew that the castle was there or that the beast was there by saying that when the enchantress cursed him, she also cursed the village by making them forget that they ever had a royal family or that there was ever a castle, which is why everyone who was going through the woods never knew there was a path to the castle because it was blocked by the tree, which eventually gets struck by lightning, falls down, blocking the other path, and opening the path to the castle up to Belle's father. So it's just like purely chance that happened that night, that it happened to be a storm that night. Otherwise, the beast would have been cursed up there forever and everyone would have forgot about him. We do also get more of a backstory later about what happened to Belle's mother. I don't want to go into too many spoilers about it, but it does kind of tie up issues that people had with the animated movie, like what happened to Belle's mother? Why was the beast cursed at such a young age? So we do find out a little bit more of their backstories. We find out that the villagers were also cursed to forget that the royal family in the castle even existed, and that it was just pure coincidence that Belle happened to find her way to the castle in that particular year right before the curse was set to be permanent. Which then kind of leads to the question of, was it actually coincidence, or did the enchantress plan this and she was manipulating the situation the whole time? Like, oh yeah, I'll let you ride right up to the end, and then I'll send you a girl and see if you can make it work. So yeah, other than that, everything kind of plays out exactly the way it did in the animated series. They do all the same songs. There's actually a couple additional songs in this that I think were originally written for the animated one, but I believe were cut out. I remember seeing some deleted scenes a long time ago for Beauty and the Beast on one of the DVDs or something, where they cut a couple songs out just for pacing and moving the movie along. Here they managed to stick them back in. And, like, even when we put in these additional scenes of, like, the Beast singing an additional song or something, I kind of felt like, okay, this wasn't in the original film, but somehow I feel like I've seen this before. And that's when I was kind of realizing, well, maybe it was just on, like, an extended cut of the movie or something, like on a DVD or whatever that I happened to see. Oh, we cut these scenes out for timing or whatever, but here they are. And so I think a lot of this stuff was actually explained in the animated feature. It was just kind of to the point where kids wouldn't understand it or care, and it would slow down the pacing of a kids movie for kids and make them lose interest. So let's cut it out and just get to the next part. So yeah, I think a lot of this stuff existed in the original. It just didn't make it to the final cut. So we do find out more of the backstories of both, as I said. The only additional thing they really added is at the end when the final petal falls off the rose in the animated one. Belle's love is what actually grants them more time, or she says I love you right before the final rose melts away completely. In this, they have the final rose fall and the curse is set in. The beast, obviously, since he was shot in the back by Gaston, is dead. And the enchantress, who was actually hiding in the village the whole time as another character, which I don't remember them saying in the first one, but they reveal here, is coming to collect the rose or something, because she shows up in the Beast's castle, and she hears Belle crying over his body and hears her say how she loves him, and that's when she decides to lift the curse, even though the time that was allotted had passed. So that's kind of how they wrap that one up versus her just saying it in the nick of time. So, I mean, I guess that kind of works better for the story. I know a lot of people brought up the whole Gaston's little buddy in the movie is now apparently gay. I don't know why they had to make that a big issue, and honestly, if you watch the film, it's not 100% that he's gay. It's just that he kind of has an affection for Gaston the same way, not necessarily that women do, just that he's kind of protective of Gaston. Like, he doesn't want him to just end up with anyone. Like, the only one he can really tolerate Gaston being interested in is Belle. There's, like, other women around that he knows Gaston could probably easily go for, but every time they come around, he's like, yeah, not today, ladies. But then, like, anytime Gaston talks about Belle, he's just kind of like, oh, you know, she's not really interested in you. You know, there's probably somebody else that you could focus on, but you know, she's a nice girl or whatever, you know, so it's kind of like this whole, he's just really protective of Gaston, but then he does kind of get flirtatious with men at different times. Like at the end, he's dancing with a woman, and then when they change partners, he ends up dancing with a man, and the man's kind of like, huh? He's just like, whatever, just go with it, you know, kind of attitude. So I don't necessarily think that it's that they were trying to make him gay as much as they were just trying to make him sensitive and like open to whatever. And wherever you find love is where you find love. Although they do throw in at one point that Gaston wasn't good enough for him anyway. That type of thing where finding a different guy, Gaston was never good enough for you. You're better than Gaston or whatever. And, it seems like even though the way they're portraying the character wasn't necessarily a gay character, that whoever was rewriting the script for this live action movie was actually trying to push for it to be a gay character and kind of throwing in these little subtle gestures and phrases to kind of push that, oh yeah, he's definitely gay, yeah, he's gay, instead of just being like, yeah, he's just a sensitive French guy who's open to love wherever. And it's like, no, he's definitely gay. It just doesn't need to be. And, I mean, if he's gay, he's gay. Why do you have to emphasize it? You could easily left it the way it was and had it be up in the air. Is he gay or isn't he? No one will ever know. But no, you have to hammer home, yep, he's gay. It's Disney. It's a kid's film. I know it's a live action one, so it's targeted a little bit more towards adults because you have a few other things that were cut out of the animated one because that was targeted towards children. You don't have to shoehorn in a gay character. You don't have to emphasize that it's a gay character. Just have him be gay, but don't point out like, hey, did you know he's gay? Just let him, if he's gay, let him be gay. You don't have to point it out to everyone that way. So that's like a minor quip about it. It's not really a huge issue. It's just, why does everyone see a need to hammer an issue into the damn ground instead of just put it in subtly? If people pick up on it, cool. If not, then whatever. You don't have to be like, hey, did you get this? Did you get this? Am I hitting it over the head enough for you to where you get it? You don't need to do that. Stop. Every fucking movie that comes out lately has one of these issues, and it fucking drives me nuts. We get it. We get the subtle hint that you're laying down. If we don't, then we don't. You don't need to spell every fucking thing out for you. And I know this is a kid's movie, so sorry for my language, but it drives me insane lately. But aside from all that, if you like the animated one, you'll probably like this. Like I said, it's just a few extra scenes, a couple extra songs, a little bit more of the two characters' backstories, and apparently that guy's gay. By the end of the movie, once the curse is lifted, you do find out that there were some additional relationships between people in the castle and people in the village, that because of the curse and the separation and forgetting certain things, they were separated. So they come back together, which is a nice little touch as well. Kind of emphasized that whole the village was cursed as well to be kind of this blind, unwilling to go outside of the norm type of group of people. And I think like their whole thing about them not liking Belle because she read books is because a lot of the books that they had in the village were about things similar to the prince, and any of that could have been a trigger to break the memory block to where they would have remembered, hey, didn't we have a prince once? Wasn't there a castle? What happened? Because even when like they get to the castle, a couple of them say, this seems really familiar. Have I been here before? Which is something that didn't happen in the animated one. They just kind of gloss over all that. So that kind of explains away why they don't like reading. But, like I said, overall, if you've seen the animated one, you've seen this one. If you like the animated one, you'll probably like it. At the same time, it kind of feels like you're watching the same movie, just with different actors playing the characters now. What would I give as far as a star rating? I guess like a 3.5. I was going to say since it's just a remake, I was going to give it a 3. But I do like that they filled in a couple of those gaps. Like what happened to the prince's parents before he became the beast? Why was he such a twat? What happened to Belle's parents? The fact that the village was cursed as well to forget that they existed. The fact that some of the people in the village had relationships with people at the castle that had been forgotten. It kind of ties up why they didn't like Belle because she read books. And that the enchantress being a background player in the village that everyone kind of ignored, it's like she was kind of keeping an eye on everything just to see where things went over those years. It's almost like she kind of gave way to Belle finding her way to the castle because she's like, this will be the one that the beast will like, or she'll be the one that falls in love with the beast, so let's let her find it. Let's kind of manipulate the situation to where she ends up there. Although they don't really show her directly manipulating things, it's just kind of the fact that she's in the village and kind of pushing people in certain directions without actually physically doing it. It just kind of seems like it was always destined for them to happen that way. Or maybe she's the one who kind of introduced Belle to reading and taught her to read or whatever so that she would fall in love with those romanticized stories of a prince in a castle and be open to the suggestion of this guy lives in a castle, maybe he's a prince, maybe you'll get together. Yeah, so it just kind of seems like it ties up a lot of loose ends, but at the same time introduces a couple more. But they're well worth it. So yeah, I give it above the middle of the road. Like I said, I would have given it middle of the road because it was a remake, but it gets a little above that because it tied up a lot of those things that people questioned about the animated one without taking it too far over the top. Why don't I give it a 4 in that case? Well, because, like I said, they hammer you over the head with the, hey, you don't know this character's gay? And you just don't need that. Stop with that shit, and you would have had a 4, but because you have to do things like that and ruin moments in the movie by doing that, you get knocked down to a 3.5. So, yeah, that's my review of the live-action Beauty and the Beast. Again, as always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Links are in the description. Click the bell up here in the corner. Make sure you get notifications every time I post new content. And until next time, we'll see you after the credits.